What's going on, everybody? This is Island Hopper TV. Today we're going to talk about things to do while visiting San Diego, California.
All right, first up, we're going to start out here on Pacific Beach. This is one of the most popular beaches in all of Southern California and certainly in San Diego. They have nightlife and they have daytime activities along the boardwalk. People like to rollerblade or just simply walk up and down here, take a bike. You can rent a bike. They have electric bikes also. But really just hanging out at the beach is the big thing to do in Pacific Beach. They also have a pier here, and then they have plenty of different restaurants. You can also walk up and down Garnet Avenue. They also have Grand Avenue right there along the coast. So many bars and pubs right there for people who like to go out and have a good time. And the next door beach is one of the most popular places for families. It's called Mission Beach. It's also connected to that boardwalk with Pacific Beach. Mission Beach is also popular with people who like to do vacation rentals because you can find a nice rental on Airbnb, VRBO right here. And they also connect to Mission Bay, which is right across the way of Mission Boulevard. So right here, Pacific Beach, Mission Beach, two of the best beaches in all of San Diego. People come down here really to watch the sunset or just take in the vibes. That's really what you're going to want to do down here. Very relaxing area. Right in Mission Beach is actually Belmont Park, which is an amusement park. It's an older amusement park, but they have been updating it. They do have a wooden roller coaster. They also have some new rides that they put in and some other games. They also have an indoor pool here. Really a place you'd bring the kids or maybe even consider for date night. Also, guys, as we continue to show you around San Diego, I want to let you know in the timestamps below in the description, you can bounce around from attraction to attraction just by clicking on specific links to the timestamp. You will also notice that there's links to other videos which you can click on after this video to watch other Southern California like Los Angeles and Santa Barbara or even Laguna Beach. So let's continue going, and next up we're going to talk about riding the trolley. So this Old Town trolley connects you to the downtown trolley going all the way across the Coronado Bridge into Coronado Island. The total tour for this is about 2 hours. It is a hop-on, hop-off bus, and I would recommend trying to book the tickets ahead of time. Next up, we're going to head to Gaslamp Quarter. Now, Gaslamp Quarter is a popular place for nightlife in San Diego, but it's not the only time you should go to the Gaslamp Quarter because people go down here for the games at Petco Park when the Padres are playing, and even on the afternoon it can be a nice place to hang out. So even though it's called the Gaslamp Quarter, which is basically a light, this is a nice place to hang out, and I would recommend adding the Gaslamp Quarter for a place to go if you're looking for good eats and a good time. They have basically closed 5th Avenue to vehicle traffic, so it's only pedestrians for the most part of the day, which is good because it's more safe. Now what we're going to do is head over to Torrey Pines State Natural Reserve and Torrey Pines State Beach. You can get both right here, and it's a nice beach to walk, but also an even nicer area to hike around because you get these views of the cliffs. Just be aware that when you hike up those cliffs, you're going to need the proper shoes. Obviously it's different than when you're walking on the beach because it's just a beach, but do be aware they do get some high rip currents out here, and some big waves can rip up onto the shore that do eat away at the cliffs. So I want you guys to be aware of that when you're down here, but really a nice outdoor area. And some of you may actually recognize the name Torrey Pines because of golf. They've actually played the US Open here and other major PGA Tour championships at this golf course. They have two, the North and South course. If you wanted to golf there, I would recommend going online to try and book those tee times ahead of time. Right next to Torrey Pines, you're actually going to have a Gliderport. Now this is cool because they take advantage of the high cliffs, and they use these paragliders to just basically run right off the grass knoll here, and then they just catch air and they just drift all around the Torrey Pines area. You can go up here and actually watch the guys and gals who do this by themselves, but they also offer tandems, so you can go up there with someone who's actually licensed and registered to take you on that ride. And again, look online to see if you can get the tickets or reservations for that for more information. Here is a good look at those cliffs. That's looking in the direction of La Jolla. That's Scripps Pier in the background. But really a cool thing to do while here in San Diego, whether you want to watch or participate. Next up, we're going to actually head to Little Italy, an up-and-coming area, an interesting area just like the Gaslamp right next to downtown. It's about 15 minutes from the Gaslamp if you were to take a car because of traffic, but Little Italy is going to have lots of pizzerias and Italian restaurants, and it feels like you're in Little Italy as you're going along India Avenue. It is pedestrian friendly, and they do have bustling little patios right along the road here. Also, they have Little Italy Mercato Farmers Market, which happens weekly. My recommendation is try and do Little Italy first for the dinner and then head over to the Gaslamp for the nightcap. And while downtown, another area you can go to in the daytime is going to be Seaport Village. They're going to have more cafes and restaurants. This is really more of a daytime activity right here on the waterfront next to San Diego Harbor. There's also 70 shops and galleries with 90,000 square foot of waterfront property, so really an area to just hang out on the water. You can also see Coronado from here and watch as the Navy ships go by as they're heading out to the Pacific Ocean. Right next to Seaport Village is going to be a marina. There are several different marinas in the San Diego area, one in Mission Bay and the marina here in downtown, and it's basically the convention center marina. You can get a sunset cruise or rent a boat out of this marina also, and you can take the ferry over to Coronado Island from one of the stops here. Now, right next door to here is the concert venue known as the Rady Shell. The Rady Shell only is really happening with crowds during a concert, but you can actually go to the Rady Shell at any given point. It's just got this grassy knoll and terrace overlooking Coronado Bay. Another popular attraction in San Diego is whale watching. You can get these tours from any one of the marinas or talking to someone down at Seaport Village area, Embarcadero. But going out, seeing blue whales, gray whales, sometimes even orcas or humpback whales. For those of you who want to learn a little history about San Diego, head down here to Old Town. Old Town is about 15 minutes by car from downtown. They consider this to be the birthplace of California because this is where Cabrillo, the Spanish sailor, landed in the 1500s. So this is basically where they settled themselves right here in between downtown and Mission Bay up against the hill here. This is Old Town. You're going to see what it's like in Old California, which was Old Mexico about 200 years ago. I like to eat and get Mexican food over here at Fiesta de Reyes, which is in Old Town. They also have shopping at Old Town Market. They have these themed buildings for shopping also with gems and minerals and rocks. Also some Mexican art. And right next door they have America's most haunted house, the Whaley House Museum. So when you're down in Old Town, if you want to do a ghost town tour, they say the Whaley House is the most haunted house. So keep that in mind for those of you who are into poltergeist and the paranormal. Again, go online to book those ahead of time because you need to book a slot. And now we're going to actually head up the hill to Balboa Park. Now, Balboa Park is going to be a full day activity because there's so much to see up here as we're about to show you. But Balboa Park is mostly home to many different museums, but it's also where they held the convention back in the early 1900s right here in San Diego. And nowadays they have parks and other areas to walk around, relax, get a cafe. Also, they have a nice bridge that goes over this big freeway. It's historical. And then they have museums, like I said, such as the Museum of Us, which is basically an anthropological museum. They used to call it the Museum of Man, but now they've named it Museum of Us because all humans are all-encompassing, not just men. But here you're going to learn about the Native Americans. You're going to learn about the animals that used to live out here. They also have the New Globe Theater next door, and then you have the Japanese Friendship Garden. I recommend going to the Japanese Friendship Garden around spring or fall because that's when most of their foliage is in peak condition, although we visited in February and it was also amazing. And just as any other Japanese garden, they're going to have the koi fish pond and they're going to have the cherry blossoms. So add this to your list. And then right next door to there, they have the Spreckels Organ Pavilion. This is one of those old sites that goes all the way back to the convention back in the early 1900s. They also have many other museums around here that are historical about San Diego. They also have the Aviation Museum, which we don't have any images of, but that's definitely something you want to check out if you're into aviation and have kids who are also. The San Diego Historical Museum is going to take you all the way back into the early times before the Europeans arrived, and then when the Europeans arrived, and then the boom that happened in the early 1900s out here. And another one of my favorites in the area that you don't want to miss is the Natural History Museum. So there's a lot of museums up here. This could take about 2 days really to complete all the museums and everything that's in Balboa Park. You'll see the zoo that's coming up next, but they also have the Botanical Garden, which was currently under renovation. Hopefully soon they get that back open. Botanical Garden's a nice area to walk around. It's an actual landmark of San Diego. And then right next to that they have the Spanish Village Art Center, which is an area to walk around, kind of like Old Town really. They just got a bunch of shops and boutiques and galleries that you can kind of stroll through and relax. They also have a cafe there and some restaurants. But of course the big draw is going to be the art studios. So if you're into art and you want to see what's going on out here, come out here to the Spanish Village. Now you also have the Balboa Park Railroad, which is another popular thing, especially for the kids. Now for the big ticket in town here in Balboa is the San Diego Zoo. You can get an all-day pass. It's going to be over $100 though. I recommend booking it online, trying to find a deal ahead of time. But those are going to include a guided bus tour, the kangaroo bus, the Skyfari aerial tram. So do check on that before you get there. But the animal collection that they have here is baboons, giraffes, elephants from Asia and Africa. They also have big cats, they have lions, tigers, they have a polar bear exhibit. So a lot of really interesting exhibits. The only one that's kind of down right now is going to be the panda exhibit. They had to give the pandas back to China, unfortunately. It is a big zoo, so the Skytram really does come in handy. Also, these guided bus tours come in handy, especially for those of you who don't want to do too much walking. And another place that's popular is SeaWorld San Diego. This is the original SeaWorld. They got Shamu show here, they've got dolphins, and they also have several roller coasters. So that's something cool about SeaWorld is they've incorporated the roller coasters into the attraction. They also have street shows with performances, and of course they have the dolphin show that I just told you about, but you can see their acrobatic dolphins here. And then seeing the orcas, very interesting for those of you who've never seen orcas up close. We always want to see happy animals, happy orcas, happy dolphins, happy walruses, happy everything, right? That's the big thing with SeaWorld these days, is making sure all the animals are happy. But a lot of people don't realize it is a conservation program here nowadays. It didn't start out that way, but now it has become a marine mammal conservation. And if you want more information about the conservation program they have, you can read about that online. Now we're going to head down to San Diego again to the harbor, Embarcadero. Now the Embarcadero is going to have more museums. A lot of it is a maritime history. They've got restaurants here at the port side. They've also got the cruise terminal next door, but you can go to Ketch or you can go to Portside Restaurant right here. And really a nice place to hang out and walk around along the waterfront. You're also going to see the Maritime Museum, which is a blast from the past. The submarines, they have an American submarine and a Russian style submarine from those eras back in the 50s. The Cold War era Soviet sub is so much different than the American sub, by the way. And then next door to that, they have the Star of India, which is an old vessel, which has really got a lot of masts and ropes all going around there. I find that to just be so incredible how this ship used to get around, crossing the oceans from the Pacific to the Atlantic. Just a very powerful ship, huh? And then speaking of powerful ships, let's talk about the USS Midway Museum. So this is an old naval vessel. I believe it was from the Vietnam era, and they've basically turned it into a museum nowadays. You can go up on the flight deck, walk around, see what it's like to be in the Navy back during the Vietnam era. And that's what you have down here at the USS Midway. And then on the ground, you have the kissing sailor statue where he's kissing his girlfriend or wife, the nurse. And this is basically to symbolize the end of the war, where the sailors and the soldiers came home. And then you have the Bob Hope Memorial, which is going to be this life-size replicas of a speech that Bob Hope was giving to the troops. Really a cool place to walk around these copper statues. And then you have the ferry ride. Now, if you want to actually go to Coronado Island, you can actually take this ferry boat from the Embarcadero all the way to Coronado Island, and then you can come back on a ferry and maybe even get dropped off at the convention center. Really cool views from this ferry boat because you get to see all of San Diego Harbor. You might even see some Navy boats going through there. I saw an aircraft carrier on the move. I also saw amphibious assault ships, even destroyers, lots of helicopters. So it's really a hot zone for the military right here on San Diego Harbor, right next to Coronado Island. And it's not going to break the bank to ride one of these ferries. I think it's like $7 each way per person. That's a pretty good price. And then when you actually arrive at Coronado Island, that's a whole nother attraction and thing to do all in of itself. You can walk around Orange Avenue where you're gonna see these old military housing areas, and then you'll head down towards the modern area of Orange Avenue, which is now where they have the restaurants and the shopping. And Coronado Island is really one of the best places to live in all of San Diego. It's not going to be as crowded or popular as places like the Gaslamp or even La Jolla, but certainly a place to check out. They also have a beach here, which is actually where the world famous Navy SEALs training for buds is located, right here on Coronado Island. And then now we're going to take you to a historical place called Hotel del Coronado. That's the picturesque old structure. It's basically made of wood. You can hardly believe that it's still standing with all of that corrosion that comes off the ocean here, but it still is, and it's actually one of the best hotels in all of San Diego. They do a lot of conventions and meetups here just because of its old rustic past. People like to stay here, check it out. You can see how it is positioned right here on the water. It's breezy, and they do have some surfing that's going on. I wouldn't say it's the best swimming in all of San Diego. They actually have to use these geodesic domes because the wind can be quite intense, especially in the winter time, because the winds are just howling, sweeping right across the Pacific right here to Hotel Coronado. And at Coronado Beach, you can see how they have these dunes, and you can see in the distance they've got Point Loma out there. Really a nice white sand beach. But in the summertime, this is where you want to be, I would say. They also have food here in San Diego. Let's talk about local cuisine. You're going to expect to find lots of Mexican cuisine, especially in the Old Town area and the downtown area. They've got lots of seafood. They've got modern cuisine, which is going to be like Caesar salads and, steaks and all that kind of stuff. Plus, lots of Asian cuisine here. They've got Asian fusion, Korean, Japanese, sushi, many different sushi restaurants in San Diego, actually. And if you wanted a good old-fashioned steak, you can also find that here. It did seem like I was eating more Mexican food in San Diego than I do anywhere else. Just keep that in mind. But you can see right here a steak salad, beautiful cuts of steak. We talked about Little Italy, so definitely expect some Italian restaurants. But you can see right here, Mexi Burger, Mexi Pizza, Mexi Torta, rolled tacos. That's basically San Diego in a nutshell. Now let's go over to Sunset Cliffs. They say it's Sunset Cliffs because it's a nice place to get a sunset right here on Point Loma. But walking around here in the afternoon, you're going to find good hiking and also lots of surfing. Around this area of Sunset Cliffs, the hikes can be a bit treacherous, so do pay attention to what you're doing. Of course, that should go without saying, but people can actually slide down these cliffs if they're not paying attention, because it is very rugged terrain. Speaking of surfing, you will see the surfers here at the Point Loma area around Sunset Cliffs, but also around Coronado, they do surfing. They also do surfing at Torrey Pines, that state beach area that I showed you earlier. So surfing in San Diego is very popular. There's a whole culture around that. They also have some surfing around places like Ocean Beach, Mission Beach, also a lot of surfing in Oceanside and those towns up there especially. Now what we're going to show you is how to ride the MTS. This is the mass transit system. You can actually take this tram all around San Diego inland. You can take it to Imperial Beach. You can also take it down to San Isidro, all the way as far north as places like Old Town, La Jolla, and like I said, you can take it inland. It's a ride the metro. Now let's talk about Cabrillo National Monument. Now Cabrillo National Monument is where the explorer from Spain is said to have landed. He was Spanish, Portuguese, kind of same thing, I guess you could say, when it comes to navigation of the Americas, but he was really Spanish. They have a lighthouse here. It's kind of a historical place at multiple different levels, but it is at the tip of Point Loma. They say you can see whales from up here, but if anything, you get great views looking down at Coronado and all of the military activity in San Diego. Down below where the other lighthouse is, they actually have tide pools that you can walk around. So it's really a cool place. It is actually a national park. Another place that is near Old Town is Heritage Park. Over here, you're going to see these old colonial style buildings. Again, more history from the San Diego area. You're going to see the old McConaughey House and several other old structures. It's really a blast from the past up here also. As we continue to explore more of the historical areas, let's head over to La Jolla and to the La Valencia Hotel. This is actually a historical hotel. Beautiful location. If you can stay at this hotel, I would highly recommend it because this, to me, is San Diego. This is Southern California at its finest. It's a bit pricey, but you can find it on booking.com or Priceline. I would recommend it. We had breakfast at the hotel though. We didn't actually stay here. You would have to get a reservation typically. Sometimes you can do walk-in also. Right below there, you're gonna see the La Jolla Cove, which is an Edenic type environment. They have seals, sea lions, a lot of different birds. Also in the water, they have the kelp, and then they have little baby leopard sharks. People do diving, snorkeling. It's really an amazing place at La Jolla Cove, probably one of the most impressive places in all of America in terms of natural scenery and wildlife. Now the whole area of La Jolla does have a coastal walk that you can do, so you can do most of La Jolla Cove on the trail. So as you keep going down the trail, you'll eventually come to the La Jolla Cave. Now the interesting thing about this is you can actually go down to the bottom. It is many steps, so keep that in mind. You can get winded on the way up. Going down is very easy. It does cost around $10 to $15, don't quote me on that, but it's probably worth it if you want to see a cool cave in La Jolla, as long as the line is not too long. And then once you get down there, this is what you're going to be able to see. Also, I want to remind you guys to check the comments below and the link description to see other videos we made from San Diego and around Southern California up to Los Angeles. So I would encourage you to watch those videos if you plan to visit California. Now let's talk about Ocean Beach. OB, as we know it, is more of a hipster kind of town. They do have a fishing pier, although it seems to always be closed lately. I'm not sure what's going on with that. OB has that same kind of vibe that you would get at Venice Beach in Los Angeles. For those of you who are going to watch our Los Angeles video, you will see Venice Beach is very similar to Ocean Beach, although I would say it's not quite on that level, but they do some rocking out down here. Really a cool place to hang out. We ate down here. That's probably one of the best things to do, if anything, is just come down here and grab a bite to eat and walk around and see what's up. Right there on the beach, you'll see people doing live band performances. Also down here, you can do a lot of different unique people watching. I like these electric bikes that people are cruising around, but also check out some of these cars they've got. Look at this lowrider. All right, now from OB, let's go back over towards the Pacific Beach area, up towards Mt.Soledad. Now this is a Veterans Memorial. You get 360 degrees from up here of San Diego. Way off in the distance, you'll see downtown. Also in the distance, you'll see Pacific Beach, Mission Beach, towards Point Loma. And then just below, towards the north, you'll definitely be able to see La Jolla. But it's a cool little tribute to the veterans that they've put up here on the mountain. Some have talked about taking down the cross, which I don't think is necessary, but it is a cool monument. If anything, you get great views up here and it's worth checking out. And just below there, you can see the I-5 freeway, and then off in the distance, of course, is La Jolla. Now, another thing to do when you come to Los Angeles, whether you're going to stay a little while or longer, is take a cruise. We showed you the cruise terminal, and what you'll do from there is you'll head out around the Catalina Islands and down into Ensenada, sometimes all the way down to Cabo San Lucas from here. Next, let's talk about riding the Amtrak. They call it the Pacific Surfliner. They have the California Coaster also, but riding this route is really interesting because it goes right along the coast. The problem is the ocean is eating away at the railroad tracks, and the erosion is like stealing some of the tracks, so sometimes it's not open because they have to repair it. Literally, the ocean is eating away at California's coastline, in case you didn't know that. All right, guys, that's going to conclude this episode of Island Hopper TV from San Diego. Watch some more of these other videos. We'll post a link to Los Angeles and Santa Barbara. See you on the next one.